Hi, it's another corner conversation on a new series. We're talking about First Peter and moving from James to First Peter. There's a lot of similarities, but some very distinct differences. I'm excited.
I like Peter.
Yeah, James is was very direct. Maybe not so nice. I think it just like he was writing to a group of people that didn't need to be coddled, and First Peter's writing to a group of people that have so much anxiety about being kicked out or excluded or not being a part, and so he's a little nicer.
James is kind of uh authoritative in
Yeah,
the way he does it. Like I go back over and over to that. He's like a grandfather. Like
Yeah.
he's above you. He knows more. He's trying to.
yeah.
And James feels, at least initial my first breath, is like a friend who cares about you.
Peter.
Or Peter. Yeah,
Yeah.
Peter's a friend that like from a distance, but cares about you and is. So it's a different perspective.
Greg, I do have to tell you, this is, I'm sure, will tie into exactly what we're talking about. But last night we went to the fireworks, and Ty and Rachel and Penelope came with. And you know, a moment when uh, something happens and like you have a extreme mental breakdown was the face of just incredible terror when the fireworks started. And
Penelope
staring into the sky, just going. Oh, just like what is happening inside of you when there's nothing, you have no mechanism to explain what is happening, and you just stare at the sky.
It is
screaming,
The
raspy,
sky is
death.
falling on you.
like fear
Oh my
Was it
goodness,
fear?
it was beautiful.
the entire time.
Well, they left real quick. Like, we gotta go. See you later.
Oh man.
Poor girl.
That's terrible. When I was a kid, I was terrified of fireworks, and like I think for like a long time, some of it was related to just some like when my parents were splitting up, so I had some like
Wow.
extra trauma.
Yeah.
Like I was just in a moment. But like in St. Paul, I'm pretty sure it was St. Paul. Fireworks went off, and I bolted, like just
Yeah.
ran, and like I mean they found me, obviously.
Can I tell you my 4th of July fireworks story?
Yes, please.
Yesterday?
No. This was me. I think I was probably, I don't know, 7, 8, maybe 9, maybe even 12, but I was a young kid. And in California, fireworks are very illegal.
Yeah.
In the Bay Area, they are extremely illegal. Like,
Is that because everything will burn down, or because of?
yeah.
Yeah.
And like, yeah. And so I grew up with very minimal fireworks, but I was in the Bay Area uh, at my grandma's place, and at 4th of July, you just barbecue. There's no
Yeah.
fireworks or anything.
Which is almost illegal.
Yeah, almost illegal, yeah. And all of a sudden, I have an uncle who brought fireworks, and he wasn't supposed to. And I, as a kid, very much knew that we weren't supposed to have fireworks. Like,
Yeah.
we shouldn't do it. So my uncle starts setting off these fireworks, exploding ones, shooting in the air ones. And all of a sudden, like 5 cop cars turn both sides of the street, lights on.
Man.
And I just ran. I just ran. I just took off. There's this alley behind the house, and I just ran down the alley, and I hid behind a bush. And I just remember my dad coming to find me later as I'm hiding. My gut reaction as a kid.
I like that.
Cops are coming.
Full.
Let them get the uncle. I'm out of here.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
Yeah. Last night when we
I
were
like this about you. I like this. Like I'm not gonna get in trouble.
Yeah, I did not want a part of it.
That makes me happy.
last night when we were walking home, we walked down Portland, and right like a block, just over a block from our house, very nondescript, but is the juvenile detention center.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't even necessarily notice that it's there, but right there on Portland, as we were approaching, walking across the light rail tracks, there was a car with its flashers on right in the middle lane of a 3-lane
Yeah.
road. As we walk up past it, and the car trunk opens, and I mean I've $5,000 to $7,000 worth of fireworks, and so what I mean I didn't ask, but then we just stopped and watched for about 15 minutes, but I'm assuming that they had a son or a daughter who was in juvenile detention.
Aw.
And right there on the street in front of it, and you could see about a dozen kids pressed up against the glass. I mean, they burned the city down.
So I also
Incredible.
I know what you're talking because we were walking to our car and we were parked right there where those like expensive fireworks. I was like, get my car out of here right now. And so we were in the car exiting, and as we were trying to, like, we were parked and trying to leave, and right as were like right next to them, they started to light them off, and I was like, get me out of here, get me out of here. I was trying to like, and the back of the car, we felt it, like, shook the ground right where we were. But that makes me happier because I was,
and it was hardcore because there might have been some other siblings there as well, kind of helping, but this mom and dad, who I would assume were probably, they're older than me, but man, they felt nothing to be like standing right next to bombs going off and walking up and lighting the next one, not blowing in their ears, not even flinching, just and then just lighting them off. I'm like, wow, their hearing damage is out of control, and they have absolutely no fear of being shot in the face. Nothing. They're just like, we're gonna do this for the boy, and it just was and I don't know how they didn't break the windows because it's in between two tall buildings, and so it was. But it was great. That show, to some degree, had equal fireworks than the city show.
The 4th as well.
I don't know where you're getting things that they were taking things that looked like little cannonballs and they were dropping them in pipes, and I'm like, where do you find that?
Wisconsin.
those were the
You literally go across the border.
My Jack was like, as we were driving, he's like, so those are illegal. It's like, where did they buy them? How do they know where to get them? So many questions on the way home. Of
Wisconsin's
how
the
all
answer.
these people were able
I think
to
even
get.
Illinois is even more stuff is available.
Every state that I've lived in has been a like kind of no fireworks state, but there's always been the across the border.
Yeah.
Like California, it's Nevada. In Washington, it's Oregon. You just you go get your fireworks.
Yep.
So it's fun. They would light all this stuff, and they would look up at the juvenile detention center, and then they would keep going. And it was long. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
It was fun. And I don't think any windows of the city building or the county building broke.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
It was funny, like, as it was going, an ambulance just drove by, like, as they were lighting things up, and no one cared. Someone was yelling, the cops are coming, but the cops were not coming. They did not. Nobody stopped it. It was great.
Yep.
This is the only time of year I hate living in my neighborhood.
Really?
It's just nonstop.
Oh.
The day before yesterday, I woke up at 4:30 a.m. to fireworks going off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. They didn't get up early to
Nonstop.
shoot those off. They were off.
They've been up.
Yeah.
They didn't know it was 4:30.
Why is it getting light out?
Oh, I guess it should be done.
Nah.
So annoying.
Better do this quick before it does get light out.
I hate it.
Well, so bringing that all back together
Yeah.
is that I feel like there's seeing that, again, presumably, seeing that family and them feeling absolutely no anxiety about being arrested for whatever reason, whether it was because of familiarity or because they were so passionate about what they were doing and why they were doing it. They weren't looking down the street to see if they were about to be arrested. They weren't running into the woods like Greg was or whatever.
They weren't screaming at the sky like Penelope.
No, that was so great. Yeah, all of those things, complete opposite. And I think that is so, it's incredibly rare. And First Peter is written to a group of people where life is imploding around them. It was Roman oppression to these people in what is modern day Turkey. And because of the Roman oppression, and they were followers of Jesus, and most of them didn't have Jewish history. They were Gentiles adopted into what was at that time was a branch of Judaism, followers of Jesus as being the Messiah. And there was incredible, Peter gives it right away. You can see it because of what he says, that there had to have been anxiety that, in the hardness of this and the difficulty of this, maybe we don't really belong.
Yeah.
And to look at the Roman oppression and lose it like Penelope, and
they were either losing it like Penelope, running away like me, or they just didn't care. Like the couple. And Peter's writing to all three.
Yeah. And so Peter, he starts off right away, and he calls them the elect. He calls them the chosen. He calls them followers of Jesus. These celebrating who God is, but also celebrating who they are. And and to start with that, as opposed to not that James would have, but I feel like it can be kind of the brand of Christianity could be to say, well, why are you being so dumb and doubting? Why are you failing, thinking that you don't belong? Don't be stupid and don't think you're part of the family. And like, hey, that's like the response. And I think that this sometimes the Christian brand of being shamed or belittled or to point out struggle and say that you're a failure can be that's been earned sometimes for a reason. And here Peter is not just coddling them, but he is in the midst of the struggle. The struggle is an incredible opportunity for you to show the love of Jesus. And in the midst of it all, remember you are, you're part of the elect. He uses a lot of Old Testament vernacular to the covenant. And he wasn't saying, oh, you're not Abraham, but kind of your part. He's saying he's using the same vernacular as God would give covenant to Abraham. He's saying to them, you're part of it, you're in.
Yeah.
And Jesus is that bridge in, and you are not just kind of family, you're truly family. And the cool thing, and I think I don't think we don't have to go very far in this week, because who is a great person to welcome people who are fearing or have anxiety that they're not a part is Peter.
Yeah.
He was a Jew and he was one of the disciples, but Peter had a brand. He failed a lot. Mm-hmm. And there are, depending on how you count, there's 10 or 12 moments that Peter had very distinct, wow, you don't really get it, from sinking in the water to just being very clear that he doesn't get it, to even telling Jesus, no, I'm not going to let you face suffering. I'm not going to let you be arrested or persecuted or killed. And Jesus saying, get behind me, Satan. There's some, he has some failure wounds.
Yeah.
But Peter's story wasn't over or defined by his failure. He was reinstated, and he truly is seen as a foundational member, part of the church. And
maybe even the foundational.
Yeah. Jesus said that you're going to be the rock in which the church is built upon. And, this is what a huge statement.
Yeah.
But also, you can be told that if Peter was human, and he was, you can be told that 80 times, and man, I will remember the failures. For me, for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so when Peter says to a group of people, oh, you're part of the elect, you are family, it really matters that it's coming from somebody they knew bled, who was real, who was human. And I think it comes up in our conversation a lot, is that it's very easy to think that we have to be perfect in order to help people, but actually the best tool or mechanism or foundation to helping people is actually being honest with your own struggles and failures. And Peter gets to embody that.
Yeah. I think it's so easy for people to self-disqualify from anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Peter's really speaking against that. And I think that comes out of the reality that Jesus spoke that into him. Over and over again.
Yeah.
He could have just been okay, yeah. And even at one point he did. I mean, he went back to be a fisherman.
Yep.
He was I'm done. I'm self-disqualifying.
Yep.
And really the only thing that can actually disqualify you from a faith community is just choosing not to participate.
Yeah. We're going to do a thing. I asked Kim and Tori if it'll be enjoyable or fun or possible. They said yes. But do an exit interview for Peter. So after he's all of his failures and he quits and says, all right, I have to resign being a fisher of men, and I'm gonna
Be a
be
fisherman.
a fisher of fishers, fish. And but I think like if we could, truly feel like you're doing an exit interview for Peter and go, like he wasn't going back to fish, not fisherman, to fish because he was like, it's time for me to move to my next step. I'm trying to advance in my world.
Right.
It was truly his exit interview would have been just absolute defeat.
I just can't do it anymore.
Jesus warned me that I would deny him 3 times. And I said he was stupid. And I denied him 3 times. And I think like we can, it says in that moment that Peter was broken and ran away into the woods. But like to it's so easy to read that as a story, but to just have this moment where Peter just, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out. And so when he felt that and was reinstated, and when he says, I love the Message version, when he says, not one is missing, not one is forgotten. When he's saying that to that population, to that group of people who's in this region that's facing incredible oppression, God the Father has his eyes on each of you and is determined that the work of the Spirit to keep you obedient through the sacrifice of Jesus. He's just constantly just going, you're it.
Yeah.
You're so important. You're so valuable. And it continues on this whole chunk. And I think that if you feel what Peter has felt, and then when Peter looks at this group of people and sends this traveling letter, I think people, as they heard it, they weren't going, "Oh, that's kind of cool." I feel like I can feel in just like preparing of this and feeling that, like just kind of like crumbling under that, like, oh, I thought I was kind of a piece of crap, and like not adopted, but like allowed to be here, and now, barely hanging on. And Peter sends this traveling letter, and it's addressed to us, and it says, I know things are hard, and but your family.
Mm.
And so when he ends this whole section, and at first it felt kind of weird, but then like just feeling of this, when he says, do you realize how fortunate you are? Angels would have given anything to be in on this.
Yeah.
Initially I just go like, all right, Peter, you're a weirdo. But what Peter is saying is that your experience where you feel like you're an outsider, actually, who could be more insider than an angel? And an angel's going, oh, they got it, they're there.
Yeah.
And so, like, to walk into this whole letter, to feel, again, the foundation that Peter's jumping off of is looking at a group of people that could easily say, I'm barely allowed to be here, and it's really hard right now, and I'm out.
Yeah.
And Peter goes, I know what you feel. I've been there. And, man, your family.
I think, like, I was thinking while you were talking about this, I was like, did communities get letters from James and Peter? Like, did they get both those letters? And then I was like, well, we get both those letters, right? So we get the letter of James and the letter of Peter. And, like, just like we were talking, like, James is a little more direct, and he's giving us this is what you need to do. And then Peter's over here giving us a little more, like, you are valuable. We need you. And I feel like there are moments where we just do, sometimes we need both. We need somebody that's like, you're called to something higher and more intense, and like, and it is encouraging. Like, it's like, you can do more. We know you can. And like, we also need that moment where we're like, not only do you belong, you're adopted, you're part of the family. Like, I just feel like when we look at these letters and we see both written and we see both communicating to us, like, how do we see both impacting us?
Yep. Well, Rich, if you could, oh crap,
He's never here anymore.
Rich.
We miss Rich.
Well, I think we just had Rachel's wrap up.
Rachel's wrap up. That's it. First week of First Peter.
Yep.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next week.